What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another Vito Variants. Now, I haven't done one since probably, 2 weeks ago? So, yeah, this is my first one back, and it's not even on the Thursday. Sorry for missing Thursday's situation. Again, I had to get some rest. Last week was a busy week. If you didn't tune in to last week's stuff, I was basically saying I was moving and all this other stuff. So, I had a lot going on. I'm still kind of recovering from that. I actually had some other stuff going on as well this week that caused me to kind of lose a couple hours of sleep that I had to kind of, get back up on last night. So, but I'm still on it. I'm still on it. I'm still making my Vito variances, and you know how we got to do. So, instead of dropping it on Thursday this week, I'm dropping it now. I'm dropping it on Friday, the same time I do my VitoVerse, which if you haven't already, or whenever you see this video or whatever, I hope you have seen the VitoVerse for this week. You know what I'm saying? So if you haven't, I'll put a link somewhere in here that, will link you to it. Anyway, one thing that I mentioned last week on the live was this is Native American Heritage Month. We don't acknowledge Thanksgiving like that. We are thankful for our peoples, and we know people have changed the meaning or whatever the situation may be to suit their narratives or whatever their beliefs are, or whatever the situation may be. But I am with my Native people on this one. There's a long story why I'll say I'm with them. But definitely, man, I have much love for the Native people and all the tribes there are. So today, we're going to be taking a look at, I think the Vito variances are going to be mainly kind of more paying homage to lore and folklore and mythologies and stories passed down from generations to generations of, different tribes. So it's not going to just be one tribe or one specific tribe. It's going to be, I'm trying to get a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to kind of dive into even tribes that we don't even really hear too much about in the main media. So, hey, but we're going to start off with one tribe we do hear a lot about, and that's the Navajo. So we're going to actually take a look at the Navajo creation story and see how their story, pans out, like how it differs from a lot of other mythology stories. So let's get it, man.
The Navajo creation story is a sacred narrative that explains the origins of the universe, the earth, and the Navajo people.
Oh, by the way, yes, we are getting educational. So if this type of stuff does not amuse you and it's boring, I'm sorry. You can click out, but thank you for checking this out anyway. But for those that want to learn some knowledge and some stuff, hey, and look at some beautiful art right here. Let's get it. If you all for it, let's get it.
It is not just a tale of how the world came to be, but a spiritual journey that conveys deep teachings about balance, harmony, and the interconnectedness of all life. Central to this story are the Diendinae, the holy people, gods and other powerful supernatural beings who guided the early inhabitants through multiple worlds, each representing different stages of creation. These Diendinae are more than just deities. They are teachers, protectors, and guardians of the natural world. Their actions and decisions shaped the world and established the principles by which the Navajo people live. The creation story is divided into distinct chapters, each representing a different world, with each world serving as a stepping stone towards the final creation of the earth as we know it.
Yo, that's dope.
The journey through these worlds is not just a physical migration, but a spiritual evolution, as the beings within the story learn essential lessons about cooperation, respect, and the importance of maintaining balance. The story is deeply embedded in Navajo culture and is reflected in the rituals, ceremonies, and daily practices of its people. It serves as a guide for living in harmony with the natural world and the spiritual forces that govern it. We will explore each chapter of the creation story, examining the roles of the Diendinae, their powers,
It's crazy how their names sound like deity, D and D, like that sounds like deity. That's crazy. But definitely we're not gonna listen to the whole thing. It's about like 20 minutes long, 25 minutes. I know sometimes I do make those long videos, but today we're gonna try to keep it short for purposes. If you watch the VitoVerse, you know why. But anyway,
And their influence on the unfolding of the cosmos. The story begins in the first world, where the seeds of creation are sown, and is gradually established through the wisdom and guidance of the Dine.
yo, this is
The first
interesting.
world, known as the Black World or Nihodil Hill,
Oh.
is where the creation story begins. This world was a small, dark, and confined space, surrounded by 4 seas and enveloped in thick darkness. It was a world without light, filled with mist and fog, and populated by the earliest beings, who were not yet fully formed or human. The first world was a place of chaos and constant conflict.
Oh.
There is no detailed explanation for how the first world came into existence. It was simply believed that this was the primordial realm, a place that emerged at the beginning of time. The beings who inhabited this world were discontented, quarreling with one another, and failing to establish any sense of order or peace.
That sounds like us.
The earliest beings to come into existence in the first world were the more formless and elemental entities, such as the mist people, and various spirits connected to the natural elements like air and water. These beings were less defined and existed in a state of nebulous consciousness, embodying the raw forces of nature that characterize the chaotic environment of the first world.
We're EF Ultimate Break, the best way to see the world for anyone.
And they don't give me no
18 to
option to get
35.
up out of there.
We
Yes,
have
they do.
Following the emergence of these elemental beings, the insect people came into existence. These beings were more structured and had specific forms, though they were still not fully developed.
How would you feel if you lived in that second world with the insect people? I'll be creeped out. I ain't gonna lie.
In the way that beings in later worlds would be. The insect people included various types of insect-like creatures, such as ants, beetles, and dragonflies, and they played a significant role in the social and environmental dynamics of the first world. Alongside or shortly after the insect people, the spirit people emerged. These beings were more advanced in terms of their spiritual and intellectual capacities, but they were still not fully human. The spirit people were involved in the early conflicts and interactions that defined the first world. The first world was also home to various monstrous and chaotic entities. These beings were embodiments of the disorder and conflict that characterized the first world. They were often aggressive and disruptive, contributing to the overall disharmony of the first world. Following these primal beings, the Dine, equivalent to gods or divine beings, emerged. They observed this chaos and began to play a crucial role in the early stages of creation. While there is no distinct number of Dine, it was believed that there were already many of them in the first world. That being said, there were still some that were more important than the rest. Outse Hastin, or First Man, was seen as a god of creation and was among the first beings to be created in the first world. He is typically depicted as a wise and strong figure, embodying the qualities of leadership and creation. He is also often portrayed wearing traditional Navajo attire, including a sash and moccasins. He sometimes carried a medicine bundle or sacred items that signify his role in the creation process. His appearance is dignified, reflecting his status as one of the original beings.
So he'll be like Zeus. What's Thor's dad's name? Odin. Ra, and in the Egypt mythology. I can't even think of what it is, but yeah. So he'll be kind of like, yeah, like the king or the not necessarily king. They ain't claiming none of that. They ain't doing that in there, but still, yeah, he'll be like the big man. You know what I'm saying?
Outse Hastin was instrumental in bringing some degree of order to the first world. He began by organizing the beings and attempting to establish a sense of community and cooperation among them. His efforts laid the groundwork for the eventual creation of more advanced worlds. Outse Hastin had the power to shape the world around him, bringing order out of chaos. He possessed a deep understanding of the principles of creation and used this knowledge to guide the other beings. Outse Astzan, or First Woman, appeared shortly after Outse Hastin and became his counterpart. She was the goddess of creation, equally powerful and wise, and together with Outse Hastin, she began the process of organizing life in the first world. Outse Astzan is depicted as a nurturing and motherly figure, shown in traditional Navajo dress, complementing Outse Hastin. Outse Astzan worked alongside Outse Hastin to bring order to the first world. She played a vital role in nurturing life and establishing the first relationships among the beings. Her influence helped to balance the male and female energies in the world, creating a foundation for the development of life. Outse Astzan's powers were complementary to those of Outse Hastin. She was a nurturer and a creator, focusing on the development of life and the establishment of harmony among the beings. While Outse Hastin and Outse Astzan were later portrayed as humans, they were not fully formed beings in the first world and were somewhat abstract entities. Despite the efforts of Outse Hastin and Outse Astzan, the inhabitants of the first...
So if I'm getting this right, just how I said, like he was like the Zeus or something like that, from what that seems like, because it said, okay, they weren't like full beings or fully human in the first world, but then they become human later on. They sound like they're Adam and Eve now. So, okay, yeah, this is okay.
First world continued to quarrel and disrupt the harmony that the DNDNA were trying to establish. The conflicts grew more intense, and eventually a great flood began to rise within the first world, threatening to destroy everything. Realizing that the situation...
The first world flood. Everybody's mythology. Every single human on this planet that has a mouth to tell a story has a flood story.
Was untenable. The DNDNA decided that it was time to leave the first world and seek a new place where they could continue the process of creation. They began to search for a way out of the first world. After much searching, they discovered a passage in the sky, which led them upward into the second world.
Second world. Ooh.
This transition marked the end of the chaotic and dark first world and the beginning of the journey towards the creation of the earth as we know it. The first world served as a necessary stage in the development of the universe, teaching the beings the importance of order, cooperation, and the need for balance in all things. The second world, known as the Blue World or Naihaltso, was larger and brighter than the first world.
Yeah.
It was a place of light, with a blue sky and more space for the beings to move and interact. This world was inhabited by various birds, animals, and other beings who were more advanced than those in the first world.
That's my type of world.
The environment was more hospitable, and there was a greater sense of peace and harmony, at least initially. While some beings remained in the first world, many of them entered the second world and were welcomed by its inhabitants. The beings in this world were more cooperative and seemed to live in harmony with one another. However, it wasn't long before the old patterns of conflict and disharmony from the first world began to reemerge.
Here we go.
Jealousy, territorial disputes, and misunderstandings began to cause tension among the inhabitants. It was then that the DNDNA would once again step in to help guide the way.
The only thing more popular than me is wild natural deodorant. Cherry blossom. Oh, I wish I could.
Hashioti, or Talking God, was a prominent figure among the DNDNA in the second world. He was known for his wisdom, communication skills, and his ability to mediate conflicts. In the second world, Hashioti served as a mediator and leader. He guided the beings in their interactions with one another, helping to resolve conflicts and maintain harmony. Hashioti's influence was crucial in preventing the disputes from escalating into full-blown chaos. Hashioti is usually depicted with a white face, symbolizing purity and clarity in communication. He often carries a staff or a feather, representing his role as a mediator and messenger. Hashioti had the power to communicate with all beings and to bring harmony through his words. making him a key figure in maintaining balance in the second world. Hashcheyazini, or Black God, also known as the God of Fire, is typically
Black God.
portrayed with a dark or black face, representing his association with night, fire, and the stars. He was a mysterious and powerful figure, often depicted with a star design on his face, and a fire drill which is used to create fire and is a symbol of his power. In the second world, Hashcheyazini began to play a significant role in the celestial order. He was responsible for the creation of the stars, which he placed in the sky to bring light and order to the darkness. His actions were the first steps toward the creation of the cosmos as we know it. Hashcheyazini's powers included control over fire and the stars. He had the ability to shape the heavens and bring light to the world, setting the stage for the later ordering of the universe. Despite the efforts of Hashcheyazini and Hashcheyazini, the conflicts in the second world grew more intense. The beings who had come from the first world found it difficult to adapt to the new environment, and their old habits of quarreling and disrupting the peace continued to cause problems.
Then go back to the first world.
As the tensions escalated, the DNDNA realized that the second world, like the first, was not the final destination. While their physical forms began to take shape, they understood that the beings needed to move on to a new world where they could continue to evolve and learn the lessons necessary for their eventual
Now they gotta go
existence
to
on
the
Earth.
third world.
With this in mind, the DNDNA began to search for a way out of the second world. After much searching, they found another passage upward, leading them to the third world. This marked the end of the second world and the beginning of a new phase in the creation story. The second world had served its purpose by providing the beings with a more advanced environment in which to learn about cooperation, but the ultimate goal of creation was still far from being realized. Hey everyone, just a quick intermission here. I wanted to say thank you for watching this video.
All right.
It really means a lot.
We're actually gonna stop right there. That's actually a good intermission point and a good pausing point for us. So leave your comments down in the comment section. What do you feel about this story so far? We will pick it back up next week on Thursday, like normal. So stay tuned for that. So far, man, this story sounds very, very interesting. I like the different world concept. I might have got a little confused on some of those figures that was in the first world, the first man and first woman, and their roles and how that, like, are they Adam and Eve, or are they, you know what I'm saying, the big Zeus type? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying, like, piece that together. But however it is, this is very interesting how they tell stories, you know what I'm saying, and how their legends are. And it is, I've heard other creation stories as well from other tribes, and how different they are. You know what I mean? Not too different. There's always a similarity in there, regardless. But definitely, man, tell me what you think down in the comment section. But shout out to all my natives that are possibly watching this, if you are. And shout out to those that aren't natives that, you know what I'm saying, definitely enjoy hearing native stories, native people, their whole little vibe. Because me personally, I'm a worldly type of dude, meaning any culture I'm willing to accept and listen and hear their culture and be interested and intrigued, because that's something that intrigues me. You know what I'm saying, is what makes us different, you know, in the world, and what makes us unique, and what makes us us, you know what I'm saying? So definitely, man, this is right up my alley. Of course, I have my other reasons why I'm specifically doing this Native American bit, and also too why I'm going to do my African American bit when it comes down to February. When we come back to February, you'll see me do the whole month. I'm gonna do the whole like African American stuff, you know, stuff that we already know, our stories that we know, but I'm not going to get too deep into it because we've heard it a lot. But I actually want to see what our roots kind of come in. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to be kind of going into our African side, you know what I'm saying, and what makes us African and African American. So anyway, stay tuned for all that, man. Thank you for coming through, and hopefully y'all have a great weekend. Again, this is out the norm for the Vito variants, but I had to get this one in this week because I said I was going to be doing Native American content this whole month for Native American Heritage Month. So shout out to all the tribes in general, period, all the reservations out there that have our beloved Native brothers and sisters. And I will see you guys next week. Peace.